Okay, so what if I told you that a serious plan for national renewal, one that tackles huge issues like unemployment and environmental waste, doesn't come from some high-tech lab, but from the humble earthworm? Let's dive into this 5-year strategic plan because it proposes a surprisingly simple solution to some of South Africa's biggest challenges.
It really all boils down to this one kind of wild question. I mean, it seems impossible, right? How can something so small create such a massive nationwide impact? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. This isn't just about worms. It's about a really powerful, scalable model for change.
All right, before we get into the genius of the solution, we've got to understand the sheer scale of the problems it's designed to solve. And this project, it takes aim at two of the country's biggest hurdles, head on.
So on one side, you have this critical need for jobs, real, sustainable jobs, especially out in local and rural communities. And on the other side, the country is wrestling with these enormous streams of waste, everything from used tires to agricultural manure that usually just end up in landfills. Now, these two problems might seem totally separate, but they are about to collide in a very, very productive way.
So, let's meet our unlikely hero. We're about to see how an innovative project turns these massive challenges into an incredible opportunity, all powered by a simple, totally natural process.
The plan is called the Worm Farming Project. It was designed by an organization called Worm Life Organics, and it's led by its founder, Nkosi Nkosi. It's a full-on 5-year strategic plan aimed squarely at creating jobs and taking care of the environment.
But you know, what's really interesting here is the philosophy behind the project. This isn't some brand new idea. It's actually inspired by a hugely successful movement from South Korea back in the 1970s called Samayo Undong. This was this incredible community-driven movement that literally transformed rural Korea, not with orders from the top, but by empowering local communities to take charge themselves. And the entire project is built on these 3 powerful principles from that movement: self-help, diligence, and cooperation. It's not about waiting for a handout, nope. It's about giving people the tools and the structure for self-help, rewarding hard work, and building cooperation at the local level.
So how do you take a philosophy like that and turn it into a national action plan? Well, let's get into the blueprint and see how this all builds up into a really ingenious, decentralized structure that's designed to scale across the whole country.
The operational heart of this entire national strategy is elegantly simple. It's called the 12 model. And believe me, it's the key that makes this whole thing work on the ground in every single community.
Okay, here's how it works. You pick any municipality. In that one area, the project sets up 12 different worm farming businesses. Then, a single project coordinator oversees them, giving them support and making sure everything runs smoothly. That simple 12+1 structure is the core. And the most powerful part? You just replicate it. You take that exact same model and you roll it out again and again and again, all across the country.
And the scale of that replication? Well, it's breathtaking. The plan is to roll out the 12 model in every single one of South Africa's 213 municipalities. Yeah, that's all 205 local ones plus the 8 major metro areas. This is not some small pilot project. It is a full-on blueprint for national coverage.
And that brings us to the really exciting part: the tangible, measurable outcomes of this nationwide plan. Let's look at what this model is projected to achieve by the numbers.
First and foremost, jobs. The project is set to create a total of 7,881 annualized jobs. And these aren't just abstract figures on a page. They represent real, sustainable employment spread all across the entire country.
And these jobs aren't just positions, they're actual businesses. The model will establish over 2,500 new, locally owned, small businesses. This is what grassroots entrepreneurship looks like in action, building economic strength right from the ground up. Now for the environmental impact. This is brilliant. The worm farms are designed to use old tires as their containers. This means they'll divert over 100,000 of them from landfills every single year. A common piece of trash is literally transformed into a key piece of infrastructure for a new green business.
And it gets even better. Those worms, they need to eat, right? Well, their food is another huge waste stream: animal manure. The project will process over 12 million liters of manure every year, turning what could be a pollutant into rich, valuable organic fertilizer. So let's break down that big job number for a second. As you can see here, it's made up of over 5,300 permanent jobs for the business owners, their assistants, and the coordinators. Plus, you've got another 2,500 temporary jobs that pop up during harvesting seasons. It's a really powerful mix of stable and seasonal work.
And the math behind those incredible environmental wins? It's actually super straightforward. Each one of those 2,556 businesses reuses 40 tires and processes about 4,800 liters of manure each year. So when you multiply that across the whole country, well, that's when you really see how small local actions can add up to a massive national impact.
Now, what's really crucial is that this project doesn't exist in a vacuum. It was meticulously designed to connect its grassroots impact directly to South Africa's national strategy and even to global development goals.
This project directly supports three key pillars of South Africa's National Development Plan for 2030. It gives a major boost to the rural economy. It promotes environmental sustainability with a circular model, and it champions exactly the kind of decentralized development the plan calls for. It's just a perfect fit.
And the impact doesn't stop at the border. This model also directly helps achieve at least 3 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It creates decent work, it promotes responsible consumption by turning waste into value, and it supports the goal of zero hunger by producing organic fertilizer for food growers.
And that really brings us to our final thought here. The worm farming project is this brilliant example of how a simple, decentralized, nature-based solution can have an absolutely enormous impact. It leaves us with a really powerful question. What other massive problems could we solve if we just started looking for the simplest, most overlooked solutions that might be right under our feet?